We are carefully following the path of Hurricane Epstein right now. It is a Category 5. It's expected to make landfall sometime very soon. We are now one step closer to answering the question, what did the president know and how old were these women when he knew it?
I mean, this is a president who appointed a madman to be the nation's health secretary, and who in turn, he has just put like a QAnon conspiracy chat room in charge of the nation's vaccine schedule. This is a president who is selling coins and gold trinkets with his face on them.
First, the release of the Epstein files. Now, it seems MAGA Mike is allegedly cautioning the White House that most House Republicans don't have an appetite for extending enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies.
We have some big news right now. Donald Trump's healthcare plan is falling apart before it's even released, as Mike Johnson, according to Olivia Beavers, is privately warning the White House that there's no appetite among House Republicans to extend any Affordable Care Act subsidy.
There's something powerful about watching resistance unfold across different platforms, from different angles, but with the same target. And when it comes to destroying Donald Trump's credibility, exposing his crimes, and refusing to be silenced by government intimidation, Jimmy Kimmel and Rachel Maddow have become the perfect two-front war that Trump simply cannot win. These aren't just two people making jokes or reporting news. This is coordinated accountability journalism happening in real time from a comedy stage and an investigative newsroom, and it's making Trump absolutely lose his mind.
The President of the United States made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke.
In any other world, the president bringing back a former campaign chairman who had just gotten out of prison, bringing him back again after he got out of prison would be crazy pants. But in Trump Republican politics, hey, I mean, get in line. It wasn't just Trump's campaign chairman who went to prison. Trump's campaign vice chairman, Rick Gates, was also charged and convicted and sentenced to prison.
Just further proves that the divide in the Republican Party seems to be growing wider.
Donald Trump's dictatorial power over Congress will not continue. Today, Donald Trump is the biggest loser in presidential history on legislation passed by both the House and the Senate that is a direct rebuke of the president.
Speaker Johnson recently cautioned the White House, according to this Wall Street Journal article, that, quote, most House Republicans don't have an appetite for extending the enhanced ACA subsidies, even as Donald Trump's advisors were producing a plan to extend those subsidies for 2 years.
Let me show you exactly how Kimmel and Maddow have systematically destroyed Trump, why their separate but unified approach is so devastating, and why Trump is more desperate than ever to silence both of them. Rachel Maddow, the investigation that started it all. Let's go back to March 14th, 2017. Donald Trump had been president for less than 2 months, and he was still refusing to release his tax returns, something every major presidential candidate had done for decades.
Doing this show is not about me. I appreciate you having me. It's really about you and Emma and all these great actors and actresses and filmmakers. But I was told we have like an extra minute, and I'm really proud of something. I was wondering if I could share it with you. I just got a review, and has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Get rid of Kimmel and perhaps replace him with another washed up but cheap ABC talent, George Slopanopoulos. He would make everybody on stage look bigger, stronger, and more glamorous. Blah, blah, blah. Make America great again.
Get here, the wheels of justice grind slowly. I did not think they would grind so slowly that they would rock the defendant apparently to sleep at the defense table today. I mean, I have to say, I was not there. I do not know if he was asleep. It is possible he was, meditating or just resting his eyes or something. I don't know.
Proving once more that this ever so united Republican front that Trump likes to convey is getting more turbulent by the day.
Subsidizing the insurance companies is not the answer because it just drives the cost up even further. So we need to look at the root causes. The Republican Party Trump is the party that is working on that, has been working on it, and has more ideas going forward. We got to bring down the costs, and you can do that in a responsible way that also increases access and quality of care. And we got notebooks full of ideas on how to do that. We got to build consensus around it.
Trump claimed he was under audit and couldn't release them, which was a lie. The IRS had already confirmed that an audit doesn't prevent anyone from releasing their returns. Then Rachel Maddow dropped a bomb. At 7:36 p.m. that evening, Maddow tweeted, "Breaking, we've got Trump tax returns. Tonight, 9 p.m. ET, MSNBC, seriously."
Mary Bruce didn't back down. She's like, oh, you don't like the questions about the murder? All right, then what about the Epstein files?
Why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
Well, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter.
To advance their child exploitation cases on nights and weekends, meaning effectively in their free time. There's also new reporting that in addition to seeking more than $200 million for President Trump himself from the U.S. Justice Department, Trump's DOJ is also reportedly considering giving a huge check to Trump's disgraced former national security advisor, the conspiracy theorist Mike Flynn, the one who pled guilty to lying to investigators about his secret communications with the Russian government. Bloomberg reporting that the Trump Justice Department is in talks to give $50 million to Mike.
The internet absolutely exploded. For 84 minutes, the entire political world waited to see what Maddow had obtained. And Trump's White House was panicking so badly that they released their own statement about Trump's taxes before Maddow's show even aired. What Maddow revealed was Trump's 2005 federal tax return. 2 pages that showed Trump had made $150 million that year, but only paid $38 million in taxes because of the alternative minimum tax.
And if there is something to learn about what Trump in power is gonna be like, I think the first 100 days have given us one very clear lesson, right? We know he's trying for the whole dictator thing, no elections, no courts, no resistance, rule by terror, right? We know that. We know the people of this country aren't having it. But I think what we should also know, what we have just lived through in this first 90 plus days thus far, is him screwing up. It's him absolutely blowing it. I mean, it is one thing to understand the gravity of his intentions, but I think it is equally important to recognize that he's really bad at everything he tries to do. I don't know if he's bad at good stuff he tries to do, because he's not trying to do much that seems good. But the bad stuff he's trying to do, he's been real bad at that. I mean, it hasn't been funny exactly. It's too disgusting for that, but it has been the proverbial comedy of errors.
See if you can guess which former president just posted that on Truth. Anyone? No? Well, thank you, President Trump. Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still. Isn't it past your jail time?
Without that AMT, which Trump later tried to abolish, he would have paid almost nothing. Now, some people criticized Maddow for overhyping the reveal. They said it wasn't a bombshell because Trump had paid his taxes that year. But they missed the point entirely. Maddow spent the opening 20 minutes of her show connecting the dots. She laid out Trump's ties to Russia, Turkey, Cyprus, and China. She explained why his refusal to release his full returns was about hiding conflicts of interest, not about protecting privacy.
Both the House and Senate voted to release the long-withheld files related to a man who considered himself to be Trump's closest friend for more than a decade, the late sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein. The vote in Congress went 427-1. It was such a landslide, Trump might actually be able to rebury the Epstein file.
Trump advisor and campaign aide Roger Stone was charged and convicted and sentenced to prison. Trump White House National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was charged and convicted. Trump's campaign advisor George Papadopoulos was charged and convicted and sentenced to prison. The Trump Organization's CFO Alan Weisselberg was charged and convicted and sentenced to prison. Trump's chief strategist Steve Bannon was charged with wire fraud and money laundering. He's been sentenced to prison pending appeal for defying a subpoena. Trump's business business was itself found guilty of tax fraud.
Morning, President Trump is planning to unveil a new health care proposal. And at this point, we're still waiting to know exactly what's in it, but we're told it could include a temporary extension of the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, which are due to expire at the end of the year. They were at the center of the government shutdown. Zach, thanks for being here. As I noted, we are very much still waiting for specifics here. I'm sorry, this has actually been, sorry, Zach, we're getting breaking news while I'm talking to you. I have learned that the White House has postponed its expected unveiling of this new healthcare proposal. It was expected to be unveiled today. We'll learn more, hopefully, about that in the coming moment.
She made the case for why transparency matters when the president of the United States might be financially compromised by foreign governments. That's investigative journalism, that's accountability, and it set the tone for everything that came after. Trump's response? He attacked Maddow personally, called her desperate for ratings, and continued to hide his tax returns for years. Because Maddow had exposed exactly what he was trying to hide, a pattern of financial dealings that raised serious questions about who Trump really worked for.
I'd like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you've accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity. And what we see right now is we're in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 school children being homeless in our city. And there's a desperate need not only for the following of human rights, but also the following through on the promises we've made New Yorkers. And I appreciated the meeting we had and the work that we can do.
Where is Will Smith when you need him? And the audience laughed, and then so she saw it. And she decided she was going to try to get some political mileage out of this. This is what she does instead of working. She tweets. After she saw it, she tweeted, ABC contacts my employer. This threat of violence against me by Jimmy Kimmel has been filed with the Capitol Police. She called the police and reported.
If you're seeing how investigative journalism and late-night comedy can work together to expose corruption, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're breaking down the entire playbook. Kimmel takes the comedy approach. While Rachel Maddow was doing deep investigative reporting on MSNBC, Jimmy Kimmel was taking a different approach on ABC. He was using comedy, satire, and his nightly platform to hold Trump accountable in ways that reached millions of people who might never watch a news show.
Headlines, on the front page of the New York Times, front page of the Washington Post, front page of the Huffington Post, front page of multiple news outlets today coming out of this, that Trump appeared to fall asleep on the first day of his trial. Those are going to stick. I mean, I know it's not the most important legal thing, but we are in the middle of a campaign, and the age issue is the main thing the Trump campaign wants to use against his opponent. The whole Sleepy Joe thing. I mean, this is, as you said, Ari, this is the most historic thing that Donald Trump has ever done.
Joe Biden is on a non-sugar high after his State of the Union address last night. More than 33 million Americans watched Graham POTUS speak for more than an hour. He announced he will release 60 million barrels of oil from our National Reserve, which is good news for Ted Cruz's hair. And, it was interesting what he did not speak about last night. Biden did not talk about Trump, North Korea, or Bruno. He doesn't.
Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that you're too extreme. There's an issue.
And so gaslighting the people and trying to tell them that prices have come down is not helping. It's actually infuriating people, because people know what they're paying at the grocery store. They know what they're paying for their kids' clothes and school supplies. They know what they're paying for their electricity bills. And so that approach does not work. We need compassion and show that we care about the American people, and show that we are in the trenches with them on what they're going through. That's first and foremost. You don't gaslight them, you don't lecture them, and you don't deny what's happening.
And to add to that trouble, well, Trump now has opted to delay his new healthcare plan rollout, or concept of a plan, or whatever it is.
Kimmel systematically destroyed Trump over his tax returns, his business fraud, his connections to Jeffrey Epstein, his attacks on healthcare, and his authoritarian tendencies. Night after night, Kimmel called Trump Darth Tax Evader and reminded his audience that Trump had cheated on his wife, his taxes, and his business deals. The beauty of Kimmel's approach is that it made accountability accessible. Not everyone wants to sit through a detailed investigation of financial documents, but everyone can understand a comedian pointing out that the president is a fraud who's hiding something.
Trump is pulling out all the stops for his trillionaire friend, who also happens to be doing business with Don Jr. and Eric.
Is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news.
That was Mary Bruce of ABC News doing what reporters are supposed to do.
And Trump hated it just as much as he hated Maddow's journalism, because both approaches, investigative reporting and comedy, were exposing the same truth. Trump is a con artist who built his empire on fraud and his presidency on lies. September 2025, when everything converged. Fast forward to September 2025, and we saw exactly why Trump fears both Kimmel and Maddow so much.
Part of the Trump story. Do you think there's any turning around in terms of the business world? Like, one of the things I've been thinking about with the law firms, for example, right? The capitulating law firms, is that I feel like the best outcome there would be for those law firms to acknowledge what they and everyone could plainly see, which was this was a mistake, and for them to get out of those deals and change their mind and instead fight Trump. Like, I want them to, I don't want them to self-immolate, like I don't want them to be, ended to make them pay for what they did. I want them to change course. Same thing with like Colombia, or like other capitulating entities. Like, what I think from a small d democratic perspective, I think what you hope is like, you made the wrong call, but look, there's room for you to cross back over. Same with Trump voters, frankly. Like, you made a call for whatever reason.
Something that he has promised repeatedly since his first term.
In history.
I want to talk to you about Obamacare. Since the pandemic hit, millions of people have lost their jobs and thereby lost their health insurance. And almost 500,000 have signed up for Obamacare. Your administration just announced that you're signing on to a lawsuit to overturn Obamacare.
And replace it.
Why does it make sense to overturn Obamacare, with which people now are relying on? Democrats are going to say the man who's wanted to kill Obamacare is going to take away the protection for pre-existing conditions.
First of all, we got rid of the individual mandate. Pre-existing conditions will always be taken care of by me and Republicans, 100%.
But you've been in office 3.5 years. You don't have a...
Because when Trump tried to silence Kimmel, Maddow's journalism became the record of what was happening. And when Trump attacked Maddow, Kimmel made sure millions of people understood what that meant. On September 15th, 2025, Jimmy Kimmel criticized Trump's response to the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Kimmel pointed out that MAGA was trying to distance themselves from the shooter, despite clear evidence connecting him to Trump's movement.
Say President Biden, my opinion, very much seemed to warm up through the 90 minutes of the debate, and clearly beyond, where we saw him right there. He was vintage Joe Biden. His opponent, former President Donald Trump, you saw President Biden there criticizing him as having lied in every answer. I think I would describe former President Trump's performance, as having been very confident and sort of coherent, meaning that he was speaking in sentences and saying things that could be understood whether or not you agreed with them at the beginning of the debate. And over the course of the debate, he became much more aggressive, much less coherent, and repeatedly failed to answer questions posed by the moderators, which people debating always do. But it became embarrassing when they would reiterate the question and reiterate the question and reiterate the question. And he would go back to, in many cases, points from earlier in the debate where he had come off very badly, or on points where he had lost. For example, calling members of the military who'd given their lives in service to the country suckers and losers.
Within days, Trump's FCC chairman Brendan Carr threatened ABC's broadcast licenses. ABC suspended Kimmel indefinitely, and Trump celebrated, claiming Kimmel had been canceled and calling it great news for America. This is where Rachel Maddow's role became crucial. Maddow's producer Steve Bannon, who edits Maddow blog, immediately began covering the Kimmel suspension as what it really was: government censorship.
The Senate today sent the bill to the White House. Now, usually when Trump gets a bill, he declares bankruptcy and doesn't pay it. But this one, he's going to have to sign, or at least he says he's going to sign it, which means there's about maybe a 12% chance he will. Trump hasn't been this nervous about signing something since Don Jr.'s birth certificate. And he's not the only one. Speaker Mike Johnson, who shut most of Washington down for like 2 months to try to avoid this, very much wanted to amend the bill to allow them to redact names.
No president ever has been, no former president ever has been a criminal defendant. And on day one, the headlines coming out of it are that he appeared to doze off. And to me, that's just, I mean, it's insane. It's also a reminder of how scary, however scary and somber and important this is. We're also dealing with somebody who is just fundamentally buffoonish. And this will be as much a reminder of that as it is of all the more serious things here that are at stake. You know, this is a
Well, we haven't had, excuse me, you heard me yesterday. We're signing a healthcare plan within 2 weeks, a full and complete healthcare plan that the Supreme Court decision on DACA gave me the right to do. So we're going to sign an immigration plan, a healthcare plan, and various other plans. And nobody will have done what I'm doing in the next 4 weeks. The Supreme Court gave the President of the United States powers that nobody thought the President had by doing what they did, their decision on DACA.
On September 18th, 2025, Maddow's blog published an article titled, "There's More Work to Go." Team Trump sees Kimmel as the latest target, but not the last. The article documented Trump's pattern of attacking late-night hosts and laid out how Brendan Carr had explicitly threatened ABC, "We can do this, the easy way or the hard way." These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. This wasn't opinion. This was documentation of government intimidation happening in real time.
And we have never seen a president less politically skilled, less politically equipped than this one to turn that kind of problem around. And so he has panicked. He is trying to hit the eject button. Somebody convinced this president that attacking immigrants would work for him politically. Somebody convinced him that the American people would be bloodthirsty about that we'd love it, that the crueler he was to immigrants, the more political capital he would accrue. Instead, what we are seeing is the opposite. In town after town, in blue states and red states, in school after school, in parish after parish, in city after city, it has run him into a wall. Because the American people do not want this kind of cruelty against the immigrants who live among us and are our neighbors and friends.
That wasn't even the most awkward moment of the night. That award went to Congress Demons Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who took a break from yelling at the busboys at Applebee's to yell at the president. They heckled him just as he was talking about his deceased son, Bo. Here they are, looking like they're 5 hard seltzers deep at a Thunder Down Under show in Vegas.
It comes amid mounting revolt from GOP lawmakers who say the plan or concept or whatever, that's how I'm always going to describe it, aligns too closely with Democratic-style ACA extensions.
Yes, you heard that correctly. So Democrats got a promise of a vote in the United States Senate to extend ACA subsidies. Then Trump was apparently ready to release a plan that was similar to what some wanted in terms of extending subsidies for 2 years. But now Republicans in the House are saying, we don't actually want to support that and we have no appetite to do it. So you're not going to get a vote on this in the House. You're not going to get an extension of the subsidies if these continue this way. And remember that deal cut by Democrats in the United States Senate? Well, it's not looking too great right now because if you're not going to get a vote in the House, what's the point of a promise of vote in the Senate? Mind you, that vote in the Senate hasn't even been scheduled yet. We don't know if it'll happen or when it'll happen. And your premiums can go up by 175% as soon as January 1st. Spread the word, follow along, stay updated on all the news that you need to know about. More to come soon.
Kimmel reaches millions of people every night who might not otherwise pay attention to politics. Maddow provides the detailed investigative reporting that builds the case for accountability. Together, they create a comprehensive picture of Trump's corruption that reaches different audiences through different mediums, and they refuse to be intimidated. When Trump got Kimmel suspended, Maddow documented the censorship. When Trump attacked Maddow's journalism, Kimmel made sure everyone understood what that meant.
Move to install at the General Services Administration, the GSA. GSA is in charge of federal real estate. This usually is not a very high-profile agency. But in this administration, we've got the president literally bulldozing the White House and dumping the debris randomly on public golf courses. So all of a sudden, this previously low-profile agency is right at the heart of Trump weirdness and destruction. Trump has reportedly now found a perfect candidate to be a new top lawyer at the GSA. He is reportedly installing there a guy whose nomination for a different job had to be pulled a couple of weeks ago when it emerged that he had said about himself, quote, "I do have a Nazi streak in me."
Aside from all that, right, more than anything, the takeaway should be that even with full control, they can't agree or govern at all. And the thing is, the public can see that pretty clear at this point. Recent polling shows that Americans are increasingly losing faith in the Trump White House. Listen to this. A Fox News poll found that his approval rating was at just 41%, with disapproval at 58%. Yes, Fox News, people.
But the issue of affordability, the issue of how people feel about the economy popping up in our latest polls, a personal financial situation now, excellent, good, 40%, only fair or poor, 60%. You can see that changing from July. Condition of the U.S. economy, also a perception totally upside down, 76 to 25, and that changing a bit. And then economic conditions for the nation and you personally, again, 25% positive, 76 negative for the nation, and then 60-40 personally. So
you partner that with the recent Reuters poll that found that his performance is underwater in the 20 states that he won.
They've created a mutual defense system that makes it almost impossible for Trump to silence either one without exposing himself further. The bottom line: Jimmy Kimmel and Rachel Maddow haven't destroyed Donald Trump by appearing together on live TV. They've destroyed him by refusing to let him hide his crimes, by using their different platforms to expose his corruption from different angles, and by refusing to be silenced when he tries to intimidate them. Maddow obtained Trump's tax returns and exposed his financial fraud. Kimmel made that fraud accessible to millions of viewers through comedy.
You see here, trying to kill Roger Rabbit. He says he voted no on principle, as in a principle you don't want near your kid's school. Clay Higgins also voted for David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the Klan, for governor. So he has a history of solid decision-making. He says his fear is that, as written, the bill...
Who can't persuade the First Lady to live with him. This is a president whose supposed best friend says he should be impeached, and by the way, is in the Epstein files. I mean, this is a president whose approval ratings are more underwater than any other president ever at this point in his term. He has already rushed right to the part where he tries to turn the military against the civilian population, where he tries to turn the force of the American military.
When Trump tried to silence Kimmel, Maddow documented the government censorship. When the Epstein files dropped, Kimmel exposed Trump's connections while Maddow's platform covered Trump's authoritarian response. This is what coordinated resistance looks like. Not two people on the same stage, but two people using their unique skills and platforms to attack the same target from different directions. One through investigative journalism, one through comedy, one building detailed cases, one making those cases accessible to mass audiences. And Trump can't stop either one without exposing himself further.
Rushed right to the end because he has no idea how to play cards against opposition to him that is this big, this sustainable, this broad, and this correct. He hasn't done anything as president that would win anyone over to his side. And the number of people who voted for him or supported him otherwise, who are now regretting it, grows by the day. And they don't just...
As far as this gentleman is concerned, He's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
That's right. How dare you embarrass a man who had a columnist sawed into pieces? Things happen. Things happen. This is not an episode of The Sopranos. You're the president of the...
If you believe in the power of journalism and comedy working together to expose corruption, subscribe to this channel and share this video everywhere. Because what Kimmel and Maddow are doing isn't just entertainment or news, it's a blueprint for holding power accountable in an age of authoritarianism. Rachel Maddow exposes the crimes, Jimmy Kimmel makes sure everyone understands what they mean, and Donald Trump loses his mind trying to silence both of them because he knows they're winning. That's the story. That's the truth. And that's why they can't be stopped.